Greetings and welcome to this module on professional persona. I think this is one of the most important modules of this entire class. We're getting into it right at the beginning, and the reason is because I'm hoping that this course will provide you with the opportunity to greatly expand and develop your professional persona. So what do I mean by professional persona? It's your online presence that is visible to colleagues and employers. It's not your Facebook, it's not your MySpace. Probably none of you know what MySpace is. Not your Google Plus, etc. It's the presence that colleagues and future employees or employers are going to look at when trying to evaluate whether they want to work with you. Now note that your online presence can be good or bad for you professionally. Okay, and so the goal of this class is to help you create a presence that's helpful to you. Sometimes not having much of a presence is negative, right? So you want to have a presence, and you want that presence to illustrate positive things about you. So there's another thing that's really good about doing a professional portfolio or a professional persona, developing it, is that by working on it, you start to recognize your own strengths and in particular your own weaknesses. Okay, so all of us can improve, all of us can develop, all of us have weaknesses, and working on your professional persona is a great way to discover what parts of your professional identity you need to work on. Okay, so the nice thing about doing it in school is that you're going to identify these weaknesses prior to going out into the job market, so you actually have a chance to address it. So the components consist of a website that you're going to be developing this week and then hopefully working on for the rest of your entire life. It's going to be the way that you participate in social networks, particularly in professional social networks, your participation in open source software projects. That's very important too, and that's your commit history, the projects that you actually work on, your reputation within those projects, all those things are parts of your professional persona. Finally, if you participate in professional societies like ACM or IEEE, that also becomes part of your professional persona. So let's look a little bit at each of these components. Professional portfolio, that's the portal to everything that, everything else related to your professional persona should somehow be, available through that, including technical writings, which is another big component of what we'll be doing in this class. And it's something that you'll start on this semester and then hopefully continue to work on, continue to upgrade throughout your career. Okay, we're going to use WordPress for this semester, which I'm excited about. We were using Google Sites before, but WordPress has a lot more capability. So here's an example of a professional portfolio. Note that it's not even for computer science. I'm doing this somewhat deliberately to show you that in any kind of discipline, it can be helpful to have a professional portfolio, and in fact, they generally have the same structure. Regardless of whether you're in computer science or in biology in this particular case. This particular person has a home page which has a brief biographical statement about them, and then you can see in the nav bar they have items for the research they've worked on, and a link to their resume, extracurricular activities, and a contact page. I'll just show you one of the projects underneath the research nav bar item. And that shows it has a nice picture, and then it has a brief summary that goes on, below the page for a couple paragraphs about that particular project. Okay, and you can see that someone trying to learn more about this person can get a lot more information by going to their professional portfolio than they could by just looking at their resume. Second component is the online engineering log, and that's a blog devoted to technical topics, various technologies you've worked on or projects that you're working on, the status of them. And this is very helpful for future employers because the ability to write clearly and concisely is a very important skill in professional software engineering, and employers are going to want to know that you can write clearly and concisely. This is a way to both help you learn how to do that as well as a way to help showcase that skill as you've developed it. So here's an example of a blog entry by someone about how to get SharePoint ASP.NET auto-generated control ID using JavaScript. I don't even know what that is, but it's a nice little blog posting. This person figured something out. They wrote a little technical report about it, and now other people can benefit from it, and future employers can look at that and go, hey, this guy knows how to do this thing in JavaScript. The important thing when doing technical writing and blog entries in this class is to write for the world, not the teacher. Okay, so what I mean by that is that every time you write something that goes in your blog, a lot of times I'm going to ask you to write something in your blog as the concluding part of some kind of assignment. Okay, so the temptation is to just kind of write something for me to demonstrate that you've actually done the thing, and that's not what I'm looking for. You will be graded down for that. Okay, what I'm asking you to do at that point is to summarize your experience in a way that's useful not only to you and to me as the teacher to show that you've done it, but most importantly to future generations of people who may be looking at this blog entry days, weeks, months, years in the future to learn more about you or learn more about that particular item. Okay? So if only I can understand it, if only I would care about it, it's not a successful blog entry. It doesn't serve your particular long-range purposes. Okay, so how to write for the world. You basically, if you've done a blog post that's interesting, then the person reading it is going to learn something interesting about you or learn something interesting about the topic, even if they've known other things about you or known other things about the topic in the past. So it provides something unique, interesting. Okay. In contrast, when you're just writing it for me, no one else is really going to have get anything of interest out of it. Okay, so some hints to get you started writing, good technical blog entries. Use headings to provide logical structure. Divide the posting into sections. Make a logical structure. Make a coherent narrative throughout the posting. If you're going to include source code, which oftentimes you'll want to use the appropriate HTML tag to make sure it's formatted correctly. You want to make sure that you don't have crazy characters showing up from some non-Western font package. Make sure that you're using appropriate grammar and spelling. Okay, this is again something that some of you will be better at, some of you will be worse at, but in all cases I am expecting all of you to improve vastly from wherever you start throughout the course of the semester. And the nice thing about these engineering logs is usually the most recent ones come up first, right? So someone looking at your blog later on, if they go to your professional portfolio site, are going to see hopefully your last most best constructed engineering log entries first. Okay, the next thing is open source projects. You'll be developing your own open source projects in this class, which provides a way for people to learn about your actual coding ability. This is in contrast to jobs that you have where most of the time the intellectual property, the code associated with your work is protected by the company. They don't want to divulge it. Open source project participation gives you a way to write code in a visible manner where other people can see it. Other people can see how you're contributing to a bigger project. Provides a great deal of useful information to future colleagues and employers about your technical capabilities. Okay, in this class what we're going to be doing is using GitHub for the development of open source projects. Finally, there's professional social networks such as TechHui and LinkedIn. TechHui is a local professional social network. LinkedIn is the kind of the big major one. I want you to join both of these in this class so that you can start to develop networking relationships. Here's an example of the TechHui page. The last part of your persona are technical societies and activities. So for example, if you join IEEE, ACM, etc., then you can go to those meetings and you can develop your professional persona that way. Okay. Finally, I want to say your persona is a long-term project. This is the common thing that you hear from students. I haven't done anything yet. I have nothing to put in my persona or in my professional portfolio site. And, right, okay, that's good news in a sense in that you're still a student. You now have time. If you genuinely have not accomplished anything yet that is worthy of putting into a professional portfolio, you have not been using your time well. Okay, I can't be more blunt about it. All right, the purpose of you getting an ICS degree is to develop skills that are going to be of interest to future colleagues and employers, be it in graduate school or in the workforce or whatever. That's what you're here for, not to just accumulate credits and establish some kind of GPA, but to show tangible results. Okay, in this class, here's your chance to do it. And I want you to, not even in this class, but even in any of your other classes, I want you to start thinking about, how is my experience in this class going to contribute to my professional portfolio, or how can I package up what I'm doing in this class in such a way that it becomes a useful component of a professional portfolio page. Okay? Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.